pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Corey, second by Bob to approve the agenda. Any additions or corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good morning, Chair Hildebrandt and members of the board. I want to speak about the process of forming the Bremer County Comprehensive Plan Committee. A number of community members, myself included, took time to volunteer and express interest in helping with this important effort. However, it seems that the selection process wasn't communicated clearly, nor does it seem transparent and inclusive. Those of us who weren't selected, as far as I know, didn't receive any notice at all. To make matters worse, the first meeting was held without letting those of us who volunteered know when and where it would take place. And that's disappointing, because this plan is going to guide the future of our community, and it should be built on transparency, fairness, and open participation. When people step up to volunteer, they deserve at least the courtesy of a follow-up email, text, or a phone call, explaining what the next steps will be. I'm not here to criticize anyone personally, but to ask that the board make sure going forward that communication around committee selections and meetings are open and consistent. Even a short notice or public posting makes a big difference in helping residents feel included and respected in the process. I am requesting that this statement be included in today's meeting minutes. So I want to thank you for listening and also your service to our community.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
Appreciate it. The document will be attached to the meeting minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next meeting is?
Thursday.
Where?
Tripole at the Conservation Center, 6 p.m. I believe. Let me check. Yes, 6 p.m. Sorry.
And it's open to the public, and then I think, hopefully Lindsay is taking emails for people that just notify of any meeting notices. So she would do that.
Who would do that, Lindsay?
Yeah.
Lindsay.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your
Thank you,
time.
Nancy. Minutes from October 14th and October 15th.
Minutes.
Second. Second.
Moved by Bob, second by Corey to approve October 14th and 15th. Any additions or corrections, Shelley? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Claims were sent out in advance, and they also have been passed around this morning. Does anyone have any questions, or is there a motion to
I'll
approve?
move to approve and authorize the auditor to issue checks.
Second.
Thank you, Corey. Bob seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. That motion carries. I didn't see any personnel, so. Next administrative matter is a claim by Bremer County to have a bill paid for some road damage. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
A second.
Moved by Bob, second by Corey to approve and have the chair sign an RLD agreement. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, benefit consulting agreement discussion.
So Corey, myself, and Barb met with the Excel group. I initially contacted Tony to see what the Excel group could do for us if they just assisted us with putting our insurance out there this year, to see what kind of rates we could get. Primarily, it would be on your stop loss coverage and on your third-party administrative fees. When they came to meet with us, they talked about all the offerings they could give as a full-blown broker, and then came back with a couple proposals for that, and then also came back with the fee adjusted to the health insurance piece. So you have in front of you basically 3 different proposals. The one we initially asked for would be $2,000 to assist us with getting our health insurance out there to United, back to Wellmark, just to kind of shop it around a little. And then the other were 2 options for benefits consulting, I guess is what you call it now. It did option 1, which was a higher level, and then an option 2, which was more comprehensive. Cottingham and Butler, when we were with them, we paid right around $13,000 for their services. Their option 1 is $16,000, and their option 2 is $24,000. At this point in time, I mean, Barb and I both feel like what we need assistance with is the $2,000 proposal. We need assistance with getting our insurance out there. It's not something that Barb and I have the time to do. The rest of the pieces we're gonna continue to do whether we have a broker or not. I did put it on for action today because this is the first time you're hearing of it. Just wanted to give you these as options. Corey can weigh in. He was at the meeting as well.
There was a real good comfort level with working locally. They've got a great team to put it together. I guess my recommendation when we get to that is I think we start with just the shopping around and maybe build that relationship out further. But we did see, long term, I think, we had that agreement with Cottingham and Butler. There was things that worked well, things that didn't work well. Some of the things that didn't work well, I think having a team more local would fix. Definitely streamline some things internally. And I just don't know if the savings we saw right away from Cottingham and Butler we will continue to see long term. Like there could be some of that where having somebody that's shopping in our interest consistently will offset the cost of paying for a consultant. So I think when we get to take action on it, I guess I'm leaning towards just doing the initial $2,000 agreement to shop and then start to build that relationship maybe with, see how we get into it, but with the intent of going to more of a consultant basis.
Yeah, the brokers that we used before, I mean, you don't want to shop around too often. You want to, 3 to 4 years, 3 to 5 years, but they will help negotiate where they've seen some savings. So if you guys think you can do, look at other plans, probably talk to other counties and see, where we can do some things differently, that makes sense. So $2,000 seems fine with me.
When you guys are comfortable, I can put it back on the agenda for an action item. I don't know if Barb has anything she wants to add to the conversation.
No, it was a very informative meeting. It's nice to be able to have these resources local. But right now, I think we're just looking at the health piece of this, shopping around. I've been here for 6 years, and it's been longer than 6 years since we've had this out on the market. So I think it's time that we go ahead and do this. Maybe consider more down the road, but I don't think that's needed right now.
Okay, so once they shop it around, typically they'll come back, the company will come back with questions, so then they'll be directed to you guys to answer the questions. So there'll be some staff time and et cetera, so experiences and et cetera, employee breakdown, what jobs they're doing. Okay.
And one thing that we came away from it with is, as you know, when you shop something around, it might be good for a year or two, and then you're probably right back where you're at. So we just have to take with what they come up with and decide if the disruption's worth it enough to make changes, but, yeah, hopefully we'll get good proposals and even from Walmart.
Yeah, and that's, the bar from HR, I mean, it is an employee impact and so keep that in mind.
From my perspective, I think the only thing that I ever actually thought we were considering was the helping us shop for insurance. I don't think that we even had a conversation about brokerage again. And I honestly think it would be too soon to enter into any kind of an agreement like that. Corey's point is well taken. It may be a nice way to, get to know each other better, but I don't think that I'm interested in looking at any broker deals at this time. I just want to know if we could save the taxpayers' dollars for health insurance costs, so.
All right, I will reach back out, see if there could be something formal like for signature for next Tuesday on the,
Well, we gotta get it on soon because the budget process is knocking at our back door also, so that is one of the leading changes in cost typically, so. Which jumps us right into reviewing our quarterly report.
So, Bob, you were wondering where we stood after first quarter compared to how we've been standing in the past. As you know, I do an 18-month look-back period. Right now, our health insurance fund is down about 5.17%. Last September, it was down 2.92%, and the September before that, it was down 4.41%. At this point in the year, those that are on high deductible plans, if they're a user of insurance, might have met their amounts, and if you're on a copay plan, you may have met your deductible and out of pocket, which means the fund starts taking over paying all. There is no cost share except for with copays. We do have stop loss coverage, and on an individual basis, it's 50,000. On an aggregate basis, it's that high threshold of what they think the maximum cost per plan, per policy would be. And if we go over that, then aggregate would kick in. Hasn't happened in my time frame. So that's where we're standing. I don't know that it's overly alarming to be down to 5.17%. It's a little disappointing since we did increase the premiums, 12% for the employer portion, 10% for the family portion paid by the employee, and 3% for the single portion paid by the employee. So I was hoping that that would start slowing that trend down a little. Hard to predict. We have the first liability up to 50,000 on each individual. You'd like to think that everybody's healthy and you want them to use the insurance. I don't know if this trend will continue or not. It's very close to where it was the last 2 Septembers. And we ended the fiscal year down 4.4%.
Well, if you simply follow the news and you follow the alarming cancer rates in Iowa, you would probably at least come to some sort of assumption that the increases are going to continue, because we are as rural Iowa can get, and those cancer rates don't seem to be slowing down in rural Iowa, so.
Yeah, and healthcare is supposed to go up 8% this year. So. Okay. be monitored and we'll
It's to
watch
be
it closely.
monitored, one area that maybe would be an area we need to look at again this year is drug coverage. That seems to be the one that keeps going up more and more, compared to just even the health cost. Just might be something we look at as far as what those tiers are and how much you pay as an individual on those tiers, because I think we've got relatively low co-pays on those, and just something maybe to help offset that a little.
Any other questions?
No, I appreciate the information.
Board committee, well, we better hold off on board committee updates. Jen, do you want to take a hot seat chair?
All right. I walked in too soon, so I apologize for that. Trying to be prompt.
And you're good to go, so.
Okay. So yeah, I guess we have, for housing right now, we've got 3 openings at our 8-plex apartment, site, and we've got 1 at our hourly site. We do have 2 potential, referrals that are working through. One of them was with IHH, Pathways, who stopped doing case management. And so they're still doing case management, but not for the SCL portion of that program. So we're waiting on her to get a new case manager, and just to make sure that she qualifies for the 24-hour setting.
Where does that case manager likely come from? Is there a pool out there?
She'll get assigned to an MCO, which she's already probably with one of the MCOs for her health insurance.
So whatever MCO
Yep.
contracted.
Yep. So
person.
one of them, and probably one we're already working with, will get assigned to her, or she'll be assigned to them, however that works. So once somebody gets assigned, that's what we're waiting on there, is just for that process to take over, so then they can work on the admissions piece at one of the apartments.
And is that wait time typical? Is it been created more since Pathways got out of it?
When the wait time for getting the case manager,
Right.
everybody that was currently with Pathways, or that was with them at the time, is already with an MCO. It's just Pathways did both. I guess they do more wraparound services. Everybody else was assigned immediately, so there was no break.
Okay.
Like Pathways said they were stopping. Within a couple weeks, we had a case manager assigned, and they took over. I mean, it was a very fast process when Pathways let us know this
Good
was
to hear.
stopping. Anyway, I don't know what is taking longer with this one. I do have a contact person that, she sent me all the paperwork, so we could get started on a good portion of things. Her, the member that we're looking at moving in, her parents, are willing to provide any information needed, but I don't want to move her in until we have the assessment that says she qualifies for the 24-hour services, since it's a 24-hour site. So that's the only piece of that, and that would be through the case manager. We have another individual currently living in her own home, and parents are getting older. They know she needs a lot of help. They're currently her main support. Mom says she's there almost daily helping with cooking and cleaning, and just other support needs. So she'd like to see her move to somewhere that has daily support. The trick there is she owns her own home, and we just want to make sure financially that she qualifies, since this is one of the tax credit sites. So yeah, that's just kind of some conversations to have with Paula from that we've been talking with, and just making sure that that's not going to be a hindrance for her asset-wise. And parents also are working with her income maintenance worker to make sure that that's all managed appropriately as well. Having the extra finances when she sells the house could affect her Medicaid, and so we just want to make sure all those pieces are in place before we move forward with that. But they sound like two pretty I would say, positive potentials to get those 2 of the 3 apartments filled there. Have not gotten a lot of positive referrals for the hourly site. Lot of, I guess, aggression and higher support needs are the kind of referrals that we're getting. So not really a good fit for that hourly site at this time, but we continue to reach out to case managers and other agencies, that I've been in contact with. I have case managers sharing it with case managers and letting them know about our openings. So hoping we can get those filled sooner than later, but yeah.
How are things going overall for you?
It's a lot right now, with being down a couple of admin people. And just, I guess, figuring things out. I don't feel I've had a lot of time to focus on all of what Sue was doing. It's happening. We're definitely staying above water and things are getting done, but I want to continue to learn more about the housing homes that we have and the tax credit. And we were kind of in the middle of, or I guess Sue had started some paperwork when that when I transitioned to the position, so I kind of came in process, but we worked through and I think got all approved. One, we're waiting on a paper. We need a updated Social Security benefits letter, but we can't get one right now because of the Social Security office not being open or responding to our messages. So we're trying to finagle ways to get this letter that we need to, so we can finish that last piece. But yeah, we'll be starting not only a couple new members for recertification, but brand new members, getting them enrolled in that piece of things when we hopefully get those other 2 individuals moved in. So it's a good time to learn that part, I guess.
So short of using AI and 3D printers, what can we do
Yeah.
to find employees or to build
Right.
employees?
Yeah.
What can we do to
Yeah.
help your job?
Yeah, that's been a struggle, is getting applicants in. We do have a Indeed account set up. It's a free account. And we stopped seeing any action on it. And so we've been trying to get that refreshed, if you will. And then it was saying, well, you need to add your payment. And we always had a free account. I think Barb has a free account and she'll bring resumes down when she gets them. After a while, that kind of makes its way back down to the bottom, so you don't see a lot of activity with it. We did get a resume last week, towards the end of the week, so I'm hoping ours has figured out. It kept flagging, it was saying the word based. It flagged because the word based was in it, even though it's part of our agency name. So we had to keep explaining, why that's in there, and they're really particular about different things, I guess. So our compliance officer's been working on answering the questions they may have, so we can keep hopefully receiving some applications. And
Have we ever reached out to UNI's social programs or Wartburg social programs to see if we can advertise anywhere in their database?
Yep, I know
get
that's one
college
thing Sheena
kids?
did do, was sent something to the job boards for UNI, Wartburg, and Hawkeye. And I want to say there's one other place she mentioned, and I don't remember, but she did reach out to send our ad to
Okay.
to those places. So
I know Andrew, I think Andrew Kummer,
mhm,
so he's a Warburg student,
Yep.
so, try to, have him solicit
yeah.
the ones that we have. Because
Yeah.
word of mouth is,
Well, he left when school started again.
okay.
I'm hoping, he said he'd like to come back in the summer possibly, but, yeah, can definitely, and we always tell people, word of mouth is the best way to advertise, so
Okay.
they hear right from our employees, about things, and,
Okay.
and we have a couple of employees that say they've referred some people, so we had one that started, yesterday, and she was a referral from one of our employees, so hopefully we can keep moving there. But yeah, that's probably our biggest struggle is getting staff in the door right now. And even the resumes, applications, whichever, to get them in, but I don't think we're alone there, though. I see a lot of other agencies advertising as well, and
But as a transition, I mean, everything you think is going well, you're learning, but you're not setting a path up, or forecasting the future as probably as well as you should be,
right, yeah.
understandably.
Yeah. I mean, the day-to-day things I'm very familiar with and, comfortable with reaching out to people and
Are you still calling
asking
Sue for questions, or?
I have not. She did stop. Last week was my birthday. She stopped for lunch, brought lunch for us, and I had mentioned, I said, oh, I was going to ask you something, and I said, then I'd forgotten, and but she's like, well, you can call even if you don't have a question. I think she was feeling neglected, but but yeah, she's a good resource if I needed to ask. She's offered.
Great.
Yeah.
Who knows, in 3 months, maybe she'll come back part-time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a long distance, I mean,
Charles City, isn't it?
Cresco, she's planning.
Cresco?
Yeah.
It's still,
We could put her on a weekend package, just keep her here all weekend.
yeah.
anything else for us, Jen?
I don't think anything else I have
Okay,
right off the top, so
I'll reach out if
yeah,
you need something.
yeah, definitely appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Did you see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it. Okay, just shoot me an email. She's on my last one.
Yeah.
No,
I know she was, her Jill one was all wrong.
And she
And-
just, something's just missing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Here we got a couple minutes. Bob, you,
Boards,
ladies?
North Iowa Juvenile Detention, Brownstone, they're doing some things differently. They're trying to get some people to come in without referrals, just general public. That's going well. And, they had some broken doors and some other things. But they did say the ASO payments are coming in quite fast, and they're actually very happy
Awesome.
with the ASO. So then there's some discussion about state subsidies and et cetera. So, but everything's going well there.
Okay, Cory?
I had nothing last week.
I had 2 intersect,
Not think I need it.
regular exec at 11:30, and then transportation at 1. Nothing really earth-shattering. Did hear a final update, and I want to open it up so I don't give you the wrong information. 218 Bremer interchange
Oh, Kevin's here.
scheduled for completion in 2027. You already know this, that the Waverly Bridge was cemented Thursday, been in the rain. US 218 south of Waterloo, resurfacing on that project, which has been forever. I don't know if you drive that at all from University Avenue to, I don't know where it ends, but it's taken forever, but that's scheduled to be completed yet this year with some cleanup activities in the spring. And then US 63, US 20 north to University Avenue is expected to be done yet this year. So interesting how things kind of get delayed on some of those projects as well. So that's all I had. Conservation folks are here. We got 1 minute yet before
Yeah.
we can start with you.
Just a reminder, we're on video, so it'll be broadcasted, posted late, so
Can I go back to the quarterly reports for just 1 second? I did give you financial sheets as well in your packet. Budget amendment, sometime probably in November, I'll put out notice with the new truck because of the hail damage, and 2 administrators as the one was going out and the new one came on. All that roadside vegetation, probably gonna need an amendment there sooner rather than later, so just giving you a heads up.
Thank you. Okay, it's 9:30, Andy. You wanna, we know them, but you wanna introduce your guests?
Yeah, got
Board?
Kevin Corman from Sumner, Stacy Snyder from Tripola, and Larry Pavlik from Reedland are here this morning. I know we've been talking about this for a little while and trying to get our boards together to kind of talk pre-budget discussions and, you know, any upcoming capital projects or anything like that, and just kind of, I think, wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on where budgets might be sitting and what to, I know it's early, but possibly expect when we're budgeted, so we're not, you know, showing up with too many surprises or anything along those lines, and give a department update like we typically do this every couple months or so. So I don't know if you guys want to start discussion. I know I was thinking that we kind of had the request to bring our board in at some point, so that's kind of what we're doing and wanting to, you know, kind of get these discussions going early. So
I think it would be beneficial, Andy, if you would go ahead with your department update and just keep it maybe a little shorter.
Okay.
And then, you know, we'll hear where you're at on some of the projects that might play into potential budget
right.
upcoming.
Okay.
I think, honestly, I would like to start first though by simply saying thank you, because you don't probably always get that on the board that you serve on, but at the same time, I don't think that there's ever been any negativity from this board about the Conservation Board. I think there's always been a great deal of respect for the work you do and appreciation for it, and I mean that sincerely, so.
I return those sentiments, very heartfelt, that I would not want to have your guys' job. I appreciate what you guys do.
So,
Yep.
with that said, Andy, you
Yep,
want to
makes
hop
sense.
into your update, and then we'll get into some potential budgetary discussion.
Yeah, that's fine. The couple different things that we've got going, I guess. I just submitted to the DNR. There's a new grant it's called the Iowa Forest Resiliency Grant. So it's essentially Forest Service money that is funneled through the DNR. So every state's got so much money that's a new grant, and it's looking for different projects within keeping a healthy forest and your management plans that you have set up on some of your areas, and just a way to make some timber stand improvements, different understory clearing out of invasive species, things like that. Well, we're in the process of doing that along the Wapsie River Green Belt there east of Tripola. We've had a management plan written up, it's about 10 or so years ago now, and we've been working through some of those projects that are within that plan. So the first year we did a crop tree release on about 30 acres. A couple years after that, we had worked through a even age management stand on 3 different sections, which equaled about 30 some acres, and that was entailing a tree planting in the spring, and then a harvest in the winter and then a follow-up harvest after that, because it was more of a clear cut in that area. And so we've been kind of spacing them out every 5 years. And we're at that point now where we were going to be looking at doing some more stands within that 750 acre property that the project plan was written on. So we ended up putting together a grant that would go towards those plantings in the spring, follow-up harvest, and then some crop tree release. So it's a pretty big project that we're asking for in these grant funds. They're actually asking for $100,000 minimum on these grants.
A
So
local match.
no, asking 100,000. Local match is it's 80-20, so it'd be 20% of that. And what we did in the past is the harvest from the cut paid for, more than paid for the spring planting, and then after that is a follow-up harvest. So if the grant was successful, we would be using that money towards planting the seedlings. So we would have basically we're going to shoot for 400 seedlings per acre, and those would all have to be hand planted. So that's a good chunk of money that'll go towards the seeding. And then after that would be the harvest, and then what trees are left after the harvest need to be girdled or come down to.
Would you hire additional staff for that? Your staff can't possibly do all
It
that.
would be contracted.
Contract.
Yep. So that would be the thing. If we did find out that we were successful in the grant, we would want to try to line up somebody pretty quick on the seedling planting, because that's 20 some thousand seedlings that they would have to be purchasing and hand planting. So that's way bigger than what we want to try to tackle, and it may be big enough that it's going to be hard finding contractors to do that many, because there's only so many of those people that are out there that are planting that many by hand. So we would be trying to line up that work pretty quick to try to get that in the books and to find the seedlings for it. So we'll see how it goes. I know I was talking with, since it's a new grant, had been talking with quite a few other counties at the fall conference and at different workshops, and it sounded like, the ones I was talking with, it sounded like some of them were going to be applying too. So we'll see. But I think there's a couple, 2, 3, 4 million or something in this that are going towards these timber stand improvements, these projects. So that 100,000 is a lot, but you can add it up pretty quick when you're talking that, trying to cover, even if it was just taking that mulcher head and going in and grinding up stuff, there's quite a bit of, couple $100 an hour to do something like that. And so that adds up pretty quick, and if we're successful, I think the grant's not going away. This is not a one-time deal, that we might be able to try for more in the future, which maybe would be like at Northwoods. There's quite a bit of undergrowth, invasive honeysuckle and buckthorn that would be nice to grind out of there too. So there'd be another option to go on, but just timing wise, we're planning on doing these, keeping going with our plan this year anyway. And if this could help, then that would alleviate the expenses, but we'd also still have the harvest money as well. So it'd just be that much more that we'd get from the harvest. So it's more of a forest health. We're losing oaks and hickories, and it's just trying to a way to keep a healthy stand. It's not so much about how much money we're trying to bring in for the project. It's that part's nice, but we're trying to stay ahead on keeping a healthy stand. So otherwise, the Grump Trail, we've had a few sections on the Grump Trail that we're needing some asphalt repairs, and we've got blacktop company going to be getting in, and supposed to be this week, so we'll see if they're still planning on that this week. And there's some uneven sections, so they'd be grinding some of that down and then re-pouring on top of that. So they're planning on doing that here. Last week was going to be this week, so it should be the next couple days, and if the weather doesn't change things for them. So that'll be nice to have that one done before we get into another season, busier season on the trail next year. Then otherwise, we're looking at the insurance money, getting some of the buildings at Cedar Bend refaced with the sheeting and making those improvements there. And still the access path down to the river at Cedar Bend, that's still, I was wanting that done by November 1st, because we're going to be closing the park by November 1st, and that's what I talked with them, and so I'm still shooting for hopefully this week or next getting going on that one, because if not, then we're kind of gate management a little bit at that point, trying to keep them working and trying to keep the park still kind of closed, I guess, because we'll be closing everything down on
But you can give them a
October
padlock
31st.
and key.
We can give them a key, yeah, as long as they are good about
Yep.
closing it behind them. Sometimes they're in and don't always remember to close the gate behind them, and then we're trying to
Yep.
babysit keeping people back out that are in there. So those are some of the things we've been kind of got going and trying to get winding down here at the end of the season before we move into more out and about natural resource work, I guess. The Conservation Crew of Iowa is going to be working at the A.F. Miller Preserve in Northwoods, cleaning up some of the underbrush, invasive stuff that's growing in there. They were scheduled to be here at the end of September, early October, with the site being somewhat wet from additional rainfall this year and just being hot and still really overgrown. We were able to move that group to November 17th week, and that's going to be the week that they're going to be working in there. So
Applying herbicide.
we'll be applying the herbicide. They'll be cutting and dragging.
Okay.
It's a pretty rough site with the being boggy and wet and just as thick as it is. So it's gonna be helpful to have that in November versus September, when it was still, well, it still is pretty green, and the amount of grass and stuff that's growing in there as well, that's canary grass, so that's hard to walk in, and so it changes things a little bit, because we were applying herbicide. We're gonna change the herbicide that we're gonna be using, that's more of a dormant time frame herbicide versus the active growing season and things like that. But that crew isn't supposed to be able to do the herbicide part. We'll try to keep up with that.
So, good report. Let's jump into budget discussions. What projects do you have on your radar that have been on there for a while and not completed, and
Well,
how can we
Yep.
work together to get some of them wrapped up?
Yep, so we had met with a special meeting here a little while ago and kind of reviewed our long-term working master plan for our areas that we've put together, and we've reviewed it a couple times now. And we're looking at every, say, January timeframe before we're submitting our budget, is going through that list of projects for each area and kind of picking out our main 4 bigger ones that, like, there's a lot on this list, but these are the ones that we really want to focus on. Obviously, I think what we were referring to is the cabin project at Cedar Bend, and we're sitting very well, I think, with that. We've gotten 40,000 in donations. The budget request that we're currently in that is still available to use. We're in that I think it was 40,000 that was budgeted on top of the donations that we have. So there's 80 right there from that. Our REAP account and our land acquisition, between the two, we could easily do another 75 to get us up to 155 right now. And between a few other Bremer County Community Endowment, we'll apply for that one this year, which would then open up the Blackhawk Gaming money request. And then our BCNA is willing to pitch in some too. So I think we're sitting at a good spot to really be moving on that right now. And
Do you anticipate trying to do that yourselves, or are you gonna contract that?
we would hire it out.
Hire it out?
I've got we did the percolation test here recently, just a month ago. So we know what the septic and stuff will entail for it. And it's basically a tank and laterals for that site. So nothing fancy on a septic or anything for it. Water's there, electricity's there, but we won't be doing the concrete and actual putting up the building. There'd be some things that we'd be able to do interior wise and stuff, but most of it would be hired out to somebody.
And you're planning, this is probably the board, I mean, you guys are planning, this is maybe the first building, and you might do another building in that same location, just kind of go down the line, or what's your thoughts there?
Well, we had talked, we'd get this one up and running, and I guess at that point see how rentals and things are going, and requests for more. Then I think we looked at maybe if we were going to do another one, just be one more. If I don't have by a certain year when we would be doing that.
I just want to make sure that, the septic system is placed in a place where the next building is good. So as long as you guys are planning, that's perfect.
Yep, that's something I was talking about when we met with Lindsay out there on site. Well, we'd like to potentially do a second one, and so that there'd be room to add laterals if we needed to, or there'd be room to get a distribution box that would have an extra hole or two in it.
Yep.
So where are you at?
What
The last estimate you got for that project was 200?
We were figuring 200.
So
Yeah.
we're 45,000 short.
Yep.
You plan to do it this year?
We are planning on trying to do it this year. Yeah. And there's where, some of these that we're wanting to be more that last dollar in, and we're at that point where, like Blackhawk Gaming, I think we're at that point where we're moving. You can put in, 25,000. That's going to be that point that we are seeing progress done on it. So, and that land acquisition account, that 50,000 I was thinking from there, that can move a little bit too. We don't necessarily have that whole budget completely used up down to the penny or anything. So I think there'd be some room there if we needed to, and that's our camping revenues and things like that get transferred over. We request the transfer over on those funds every year, and then that balance is not. I think we've got like 170 or so budgeted in that line out of that account right now, and we don't have that all necessarily spoken for. If we get this grant through the forest resiliency, then we would be trying to maybe be doing the planting out of this budget, possibly the one that we're in, if it gets, or if we get word and we get going, or able to get going early enough, but then otherwise it would be more in the following year, and money from this grant would probably be the following year. So fund wise, that one's sitting pretty good. REAP wise is sitting good, and then if these projects can go through with grants, that helps as well.
Is there a timeline on when that trail is gonna need to be resurfaced? I mean, you're doing patching now, but the engineer walked in, so
Yep.
maybe he can.
I was just wondering if I should duck back out.
Throw in.
Amanda took a look at that piece that was uneven that we were talking about, and as far as an overlay over the whole thing, I guess it's not, that spot was bad, the rest of it really is not.
But we don't wanna let it get to the point where it's like that, or the cost of redoing it is gonna be substantially more, so.
Yep.
What are you thinking there for when you may need to do an overlay?
I think that was
Make
put
certain
in,
that it stays rideable.
that was, I think, 2012-ish or so, that was put in, and we've had all the cracks sealed before. That section was about 100, a little over 100 feet, and I think if it hadn't have been there's a culvert right there that may have caused it to do what it did, or just under, not good stabilization underneath it. And the different spot that we were addressing is more of an issue because of tree roots, but the rest of it is not doing too bad. So I guess
doing better
another
than
10 years
Waverly's.
maybe.
The Waverly portion is much worse than your portion.
But it's older too.
So maybe
Yeah, but it
another.
has
But
more
some-
water
And
issues.
something's gotta be done there, because, if you expect people to continue to use those trails, they have to stay nice, or people quit using them. That's
Another 10 years on the asphalt trail
probably.
before you're looking at doing something, and it'd be more of a couple 2-inch overlay or something along it.
Yeah, mill the top off and overlay it.
But hopefully that's something that can be planned for. I mean, while 10 years sounds like a long ways away, 10 years from now, what will it cost to do that? And therefore, we should start budgetarily planning for that.
Right.
Because in addition to that, you're talking about putting a cabin in out here, and you've expanded the Sumner one. There, in my opinion, there's a need to consider expanding some of the other trails. I think Sumner has talked to you about expanding out to the North Woods.
Yeah.
Clearly, that would be a huge benefit for us and them, for campers. So, got any plans for ideas on that, or?
So that one, Sumner's in their process of, they applied for a REAP grant to do part of it this year, farther south. And that, going north, I guess our timing's going to depend on how they do on getting up to the new triplex that they're working on putting in. And then we would be about a mile on our section. So I guess we don't have an actual year on when that would be, but that would be.
That mile, though, is there a property that's gonna have to be acquired, and is there?
There would have to
or
be right of way or
rights?
easement, yeah.
So,
And it may mainly one
so
owner.
should those be started on to be done with that aspect of it? I mean, oftentimes what we see is that a lot of these grants that become available are shovel-ready projects. And if you don't have all those questions asked and answered, it's not a shovel-ready project. So I think with your experiences and mine with Intercog, if you've got your ducks in a row, it's a lot easier to go down there and ask for federal grants on projects like that, so.
We haven't talked with the one landowner that it would potentially be kind of skirting on edge. It wouldn't be cutting right through the middle or anything. It would be following following an edge, I guess.
I did talk to the one landowner who likes the trail, and on the, coming from the southeast corner of our property and that lane that we have that's all grassy and a few trees, the landowner to the east is, according to the landowner just right at the trailhead going in there, is almost hostile to anybody going down the trail. Got cameras and everything set up to catch people. Wasn't liking that situation with the neighbors, you know. And that property that is, he has for hunting and everything else, that really is in another county.
And I think the trail, the new section would, because since to get to that, there was that bridge, that old bridge that was going to be tough to get across or making that biker and car ready. So we're looking, I think the path would kind of be going up Brant's property and along those houses, and then along the edge and getting into Northwoods, kind of up on the top of, before you dip down in there. But I haven't talked with him or anything, I don't think.
I don't know if Laura has or not. She was saying she was gonna, but I don't know if she got either of them talked with.
Well, I guess I'm just suggesting that there should be a conversation sooner than later.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then as far as other projects that we might show up with on budget time, bigger projects, I guess I don't see anything this year as far as capital project. I know last year we were asking for 40 for a vehicle, 40 for cabin. One of them went through, so it would be vehicle ask, I guess, this year. It's early on thoughts anyway, as far as
Trucks, tractors, other equipment's all good?
this one would be, we generally have been going back and forth between a vehicle or a piece of equipment, and this would be vehicle here, tractor wise. We got a tractor a couple years ago, or mower the year before. Just the most recent purchase was a 0-turn mower, and so.
Gentlemen, do you have questions, thoughts?
No, very good. I mean, for the board, just be watching. I know you guys are involved with the comp plan, at least from my perspective, as, we want to probably have some growth out in our rural area, and you guys are key because, bike trails and parks are so critical for growth, for people to come here in Waverly or in Bremer County. So make sure you watch the comp plan. Waverly's talking about, bike enforcement, you want monitoring that because, Waverly Trail ends where your trail begins, and you may want to, have the same type of rules for bikes if they do an e-bike.
I was gonna say, they specify any e-bike
Yes.
regulations? Yeah,
Yes.
makes sense.
Okay.
And then open water trails. Where are you guys at on water trails?
That was, Intercog's got that one, and at this point, it's, a survey is all, that'd be going out at this point for the Cedar River Water Trail. And that's beginning stages, but that'd just be the preliminary survey that is available, or they're sending it out to adjacent landowners and things like that.
And that was a grant that was already approved to get that accomplished.
That's no expenses to us right now.
I thought I remembered there was a small grant that was approved for the
There
water
would-
trails. Was that for potential signage coming up, or?
The small grant would be for that would go towards the initial planning on like these steps, and since we were kind of far enough along in it that we didn't even necessarily have to apply for anything, so that there wasn't any funds that we're expending or getting in for any grants or anything at this point. They would be from this information would potentially be writing another grant in the future. Anybody have anything else that they?
Well, I
wanted
do,
to share?
yeah. I'm Stacy A. Snyder, and I often wheedle us and say, maybe we need another person, and I heard you earlier today too, in the sense that we are fifth of the 99 counties in the amount of acres that we manage. I think we do a pretty good job, but we also have some endangered species. We talked about the preserve land that has not been, since I've been on the board, looked at for management. I mean, I just think we're behind, and I think a biologist or some natural resource person would be beneficial to our folks. Number 4 above us is Woodbury County with 5,000 acres. We're at 4,300. Woodbury County has 10 people that manage their natural resources, not including their director and associate director. And we have 4 and a director. I know their population's bigger, although I was pretty impressed. It looks like Bremer County's 26th in the state of Iowa in population. However, we are like 82nd in the amount of area the county has. So we have a pretty large responsibility as a conservation board to manage those 4,300 acres, and I really feel we need another person. So I just wanted to throw that out to
So
see if we
when
can
is the last
consider
time-
that.
Conservation Department group.
We hired when I was moved in 17, we had, I think Frank had in the works for another full-time position, so we hired a full-time position in 2017. Would have been our last
That's
addition.
what I was thinking. It was, so it's been 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What's your plans on that?
Well, there'd
You
be,
concur with your board member? Talk about asking a bad question in front of your board, but.
Well, my question would be, is it a full-time person or, 2 more part-time people during the summer? I mean, what would have more bang for the buck?
a full-time person would have more bang for the buck. Sometimes we have a hard time finding quality
Yep.
seasonal employees, and we're kind of left with summertime not being an ideal time for the natural resource work, just
Okay.
because the work environment is better suited for winter, fall
Yeah.
time frame, spring, like so that would be the time frame that we could use the extra help and addressing some of these areas a little better.
The background Stacy's bringing up, that where the need is, I'd also have more ability for grant writing potential, seeking out specified grants to help further some of these projects, so I can see value in that.
So
And
they-
managing, I mean, not that we don't do a good job, I think we do, it's just, I see them stretched to the limits.
Yeah, and
We have
we-
some great
and we-
properties,
And we
yeah.
you guys keep creating more work for them to do. I
I
mean,
know.
in a good way.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're in the process of developing that golf course there at the North Woods. Well, guess what? That's not gonna come without additional maintenance.
Yeah.
Along with it. So frankly, I'd encourage you to work with your director to put something together to come up with an idea. We can always say, nope, can't happen this year, but, which you've heard before, but at the same time, if we don't try to plan for something
Sure.
like that, none of us can
Yeah.
see it.
Well, like that's why that we're here this morning and wanted to see if there was.
I
that's
think the
even a
first thing you need to do
possibility,
is
or-
determine what you want, what you need, not what you want, what you need. Do you need a biologist? Do you need a person to go out and a laborer, for instance? We don't know that. You guys know that. So you need to put your thoughts together on what your actual need is and then develop how you're going to pay for it. Any other thoughts, guys?
No, appreciate your service. Like I said, you guys are critical because I think in order to grow our county, quality of life is a factor. So, and you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you,
Thank you.
and you guys too?
Yeah, thank you.
right there. Landon, you're up.
Morning.
Morning. Nobody responded.
Let's see, which one's on
I think
first?
public
The
hearing.
ordinance? Perfect. So this is the no parking ordinance we discussed. This was copied almost directly from another county that did it, so we're not recreating the wheel here.
I moved to open public hearing for the first reading of ordinance 2506.
Second.
Moved by Corey, second by Bob to open the public hearing. Roll call.
Forrest,
Aye.
Zelinski,
Aye.
Hildebrand.
Aye. Public hearing is open. Now,
I have received no comments. I guess quick rundown on it. Basically the setup here is we have this ordinance which gives our overall policy, lays out the fines there at the bottom. We do have a designation in here where we can designate them permanent or seasonal. That was taken from another one. I don't know that we would ever use a seasonal, but I left it in there just in case that situation came up. I set the fine at $25. The county I copied was using $5 for first offense, $25 for second. I figured let's cut out the warning. And then with this, we would have resolutions. I should have brought an example because I wrote one up for that Wapsie property already. And the resolution just essentially states no parking from this point to this point, and it'll be a permanent full-time in reference to 2506. So that's how we would set them, specific locations.
what, can you give me an example of who uses or where a seasonal would be utilized? Like a
So the only
fair or-
thing, yeah, if you had a summer event like the fair where you wanted no parking during certain times of the year so people weren't clogging up Grand or something, or I don't foresee us probably using it, but I
How
left
would-
it in there for the
How
option.
would signage look inside?
That's the other aspect of it, is I'm not clear on that, if you'd have to either designate, so you can get signs that say,
No parking September through.
right, yep, you'd have to have a secondary plaque underneath your no parking that says September to May or whatever it is. So I don't foresee us using it. I left it in there for in case, but we certainly don't need to. Like I say, I can't picture a situation where we at the county would use it.
Waverly puts signs out temporarily.
Okay, yep,
That's what we do.
yep.
Any questions? Have
Nope.
Any of you received any?
I not received any.
And it was published?
Mhm.
One time or?
Yeah, just once. I sent it out. I don't know what is going on with my email from my phone. I sent it out September 30th. Followed up with Waverly last week to make sure because I hadn't heard anything, and they said, "Oh yeah, it'll go out this week." So it finally got posted last Thursday, just in time.
And it wasn't published in any of the others?
It did not. It did not go through to them, so it just went in Waverly.
Since, do we want to publish it in?
It would be a good idea to rerun it since they didn't get those. I don't know if that means we need to have a first reading again, or if we can do that for the second, or how that works.
We should be able to do it on the second.
Yeah, publish for second reading. I can send that out.
What would be our dates then? Wouldn't we have to set our date back? It's no less than 10.
4 to 20, but if I send it today, it won't go in this week's paper, it would go in next week, so we'd have to go the following week to
for a
read,
second.
for a second reading.
To November 4th.
Yeah,
I guess I'd rather see us do that than
I would too.
not have it
I,
published. so-
yeah, just to make sure everybody that could be affected has a chance to see it.
Right.
Yep, I agree.
So, anything else, when we get to it, what we could do is simply don't act on the first reading and let that be our first reading also. We have options.
Right.
Anything else for the public hearing?
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Corey, second by Bob, roll call.
Burkhorst.
Aye.
Zerwinski.
Aye.
Hildebrand.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. Public hearing is closed. How do you want to proceed with the first and second readings? Do it one of two ways. We can do the first today and set the second for in 2 weeks, or we could just, in my mind, we could delay today's, and
I'd recommend taking no action today and
I'd feel more comfortable about that.
procedurally, I think that's better.
I don't think this is any rush. The reason that brought it up was football, and that's done, so we've really got till next fall before we'll run into that issue again.
Are they
so.
done with home games, so they are in the playoffs?
They might have a playoff game this week, yeah.
But you couldn't get it done by
But,
then anyway.
right, either way, we wouldn't be in there. Okay. So we'll do November 4th, we said?
10
Okay.
o'clock.
I'll send it out to get published next week.
Okay, anything else for us?
Not on that.
Regular update.
Thank you. We've got a
Open and redo those first.
Yep. We've got project LL1 125-7309. This is bridge 1-1 way up in the northwest corner. And this one will not get built this fall. We're letting it this fall because this is an Odin panel bridge, so they do the precast panels, and this will allow them to build those in the coming months and weeks here.
What's the length of this bridge?
Oh, it's a single span, I believe. See, I probably got it here. 34 feet?
Okay.
And, oh, right here. Taylor Construction. Oh, there's my second page. Appears to be in order. We've got a bid bond attached here. Bid bond appears to be in order. Final bid for Taylor Construction, 107,000, 107,000 and 0 cents. And we also have one from Peterson, PCI.
Just two.
Just two of them. Proposal appears to be in order, as well as the bid bond. Bid from PCI. 87,300. 87300 and 0 cents. And with that, I recommend approval of the PCI bid pending my review.
What was your initial estimate? Did you have one?
Oh, yes, we did. It was higher than that. It was right around 100. I don't remember the exact dollars.
I just would remind the board that I'm happy that this came in the way it did, because the bad taste for the completion date is still in my mouth from the bridge east of Denver. and therefore this makes it easy, in my opinion. So, is there a motion?
I'd move
Thank
to, pending the engineer's review to award letting PCI for Bremer County Project LL 1125-7309, amount $87,300.
Second.
Moved by Cory, second by Bob, to approve pending engineer's final finalization for PCI for 87.3. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, that motion carries.
Okay, and the last thing here, discussion from regarding insurance on our equipment. ICAP had valuations done on some of our more expensive equipment. And so on the second page of this document, second and third page, the third column from the left is the 2025 value we used for insuring them. The fourth column is the value they came up with for replacement. So if we want to insure them for full replacement, they want us to insure them for that HCA value column. We have been insuring them for the 2025 value. And then our options, if we want to insure them at full replacement, we insure them for that HCA value column. The far right will be the additional premium that will be charged in 2026. Total is about 22,000, I want to say, if we do that. We would also have the option of stated value. There was one other option mentioned, I don't recall. That is kind of where I'm leaning, to be honest, on my review. Just looking through these, for example, the second one, that 2022 140 Caterpillar, that 2025 value is what we paid for it. They came up with a value of $394. That 2019 12M3, that's the same machine. It's just got a different number on it. They literally didn't change anything between those. Maybe the 2019 had a couple small changes, but it's essentially the same as that 2022 140, and they've got that at a higher value somehow. There's a couple down below, our 140 M2, they've got those at $463,000. We would replace those with a 140, which is essentially the same equipment once again. They've changed numbers a lot, but we've always purchased approximately the same size machine. So all of ours that we have are very similar to that 2022 140 that we recently purchased. And so I think our best middle of the road option here, whether I don't know if they would allow us to still insure them at the stated values we used in 2025, or if we go kind of in between and set them all at the replacement cost of what it would cost us to replace them, which would be $343 plus a couple years of added costs. So probably, say $370,000. That would still bring the value down quite a bit on what we would be paying to cover those.
From a gambler's perspective, how many times have we had full insurance replacement?
Prior to April, not that I'm aware of. In April, we did have several, not on our big machines, but on dump trucks and a couple of pickups. So with that hailstorm.
And we are required to make this change, or?
Yeah, we have to go one way or the other. If we stay with our current full replacement value, we have to go with the value they're telling us is full replacement. Or we can go, they did offer a stated value, which is where we could say, here's what it costs us to actually replace it. Here's what we want to insure it for. Is my understanding now there might be some regulations on their end of what they'll accept for a value, stated value. I don't know that, but I can dig in the weeds with them on that.
Total cost difference between those two, we don't have.
The difference between what we currently have them insured for in the third column versus what they want us at full replacement value to have them covered for is about $22,000 in premium per year.
Right, but the stated one is how much total?
I don't have a,
total on that?
a premium for the stated value. I haven't proposed that to them yet. I wanted to bring it here before I went with that approach.
Yeah, I would lean toward keeping it the same, and if anything, you know, do we have a vehicle replacement fund?
Nothing specifically, but we budget about $500,000 to $600,000 every year for replacements anyway, so.
In the letter here, it says that, our local agent, Tony, would be able to further discuss this with Landon, and, I mean, I personally think that maybe having the discussion with him and then this coming back to you, just to hear what those pros and cons are,
Yeah.
and if what Landon's proposing is even gonna be something
Feasible.
that ICAP would accept with this
Right.
next renewal. Everything just has to be done by October 31st, when, the Excel group turns in our renewal with ICAP for us.
So if we bring this back next week, I can have a discussion with Tony this week and see if that'll work and what our premium would be then and what our other options are.
Let's just have a compiled list of stated value to have that discussion with him. And
Yeah, yep. I'll basically take his spreadsheet and I'll add what our replacement would be and see if they'll do it for that.
And I don't think that this is gonna be a one-time deal. I think you're gonna see it more and more with everything we have. They've already kind of done it with our buildings, where like courthouse used to be, only a premium of X, and now to do actual replacement, you almost can't afford that premium.
Okay, you clear on what the request is?
Yep, I'm good on that.
Okay. Regular update?
The only real update I have today is I sat down in a meeting yesterday with City of Waverly and their contractor working on the Ivanhoe Trail Bridge. So just to give kind of some updates on that, they are looking at starting some preliminary design for that. We went through, I put a couple proposed alignment together that would allow us to straighten the road. We discussed some alternatives to that. So they seem pretty open to it. That's potentially going to add some cost to that bridge from the city, so I don't know yet if they're going to want to have us assist with added costs from straightening the road. So that's something we got to work through, but they're looking at preliminary design, survey beginning here shortly, and preliminary design through next spring, I want to say, with the option then it could either go to bid next fall or the following fall, depending on how things go with Waverly City Council. So we're probably a year or two out from a letting on that one. So I'll put that in my 5-year plan for consideration once we get a little better idea of cost there. Then we'll have some decisions to make, but that'll be a good project to get done.
Are they asking for, you know, the bridge might be a little bit longer or whatever, so asking for help there, or just for the road?
For the road, I assumed we would.
Yeah.
For if the bridge needs lengthened, we haven't discussed that yet. I
Okay.
didn't directly bring that up yesterday. I wanted to kind of get some details on it, so I have some numbers before we start haggling on something we don't know. So I'll keep you updated on those when we get them.
But yeah, having us pay for the road doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yep. And honestly, depending how it comes out, that's something that we could do with our crews too. It might be a little less expensive. Although if they include that with the overall project, sometimes you get some pretty low numbers from a contractor too, since they're already going to be there. They'll move that dirt around for almost nothing. So we can kind of see how that goes and what it looks like.
Okay, stay tuned for that.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, the only other thing I had on my notes is one you have on administrative, the RVF settlement.
We approved it.
Okay, that's what I wondered.
With no comment.
Yeah. The original version would not have allowed me to comment to you about it, so had to do a few changes to that.
I guess, on road damages, similar to this, hopefully, you're looking at something to prevent some of the stuff for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and typically what we've done, we didn't do it here. Our hands are a little bit tied. Typically what we've done is if they start damaging the road and they're not working with us, we just close it. Now the issue there is then they're taking a different road, they're damaging that. What some counties have done is if we have wet conditions, they embargo a lot of their gravel roads. So that's something we could look at too if we're having significant damages in certain areas.
Yep.
So, yeah, we've discussed that internally, how best to handle that.
It has to be quick, yeah.
Right,
You
you
can't
gotta respond
come to
quickly.
here, you gotta be able to do it
Yeah, and
yourself.
that's the problem with an embargo is if you wanna do that, it's gotta come here. So if it
Well,
happens on
and the
Tuesday
secondary
afternoon.
problem with an embargo is that you start having accusations of one person's not being treated fairly.
Right.
Road conditions might be slightly different, but yet you've embargoed one and not
Right.
the other, and all of a sudden,
Yep.
and anything else?
Nothing for me.
And your kids didn't start any fires after this weekend after.
The first thing Henry said when he got in the truck, we need to get batteries and steel wool before we go home. Like, all right, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, Lana.
Kim? Good morning.
Good morning.
Department update?
Yes,
Sorry, we cut into your time.
oh, it's all right. Started on the wrong end. Pass that to Corey. And up.
Thank you.
Okay, I got a whole bunch of things here. 15 minutes probably ain't gonna cover it, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, the update. Cap is mowed out there as required by the DNR. We just have 2 terraces to take care of on the north side. I gotta get a batwing mower brought in and take care of that, or a skid loader. And then get that sprayed. DNR was out September 25th, inspected it. The report is on the back of your packet there, the very back bundle, if you haven't seen it already. Which everything looks good. A couple little shrubs need to be taken care of, but that's a very minor thing. And like I said, the terrace needs to be done yet. But, so the DNR inspection went well. HLW was just out last week. They did their inspection and the well testing. He thought the place really looks nice. So and then we'll get the results of the testing shortly. Our scale permit's been paid for 2026. The end loader was down 1 week in August. We had to bring in extra help with skid loader and grapple bucket and manpower. That was a week I was on vacation. And here 2 weeks ago when I went on vacation, the end loader was down again, and it just got fixed today, so it was down 2.5 weeks. So we brought in skid loader with grapple bucket and manpower for 8 of the 10 days that I was gone. So new phones were installed. We're using them. That was about 3 weeks ago. I got with Nate just yesterday. The computers maybe this week. He's got to get an IP address. Nate's putting that on his priority list for this week. Credit card counter unit. Being we have fiber optics now and all of that, we've never taken credit cards or debit cards. It's a one-time cost, $424.99 for the machine, and then there's no cost after that. Personally, I believe that would be good for our customers. And we won't have to send
Especially
them,
all the younger people, because that's the only way they
Yep.
do business.
and we don't have to send them to town to get money and come back and on faith and all of that. So I believe that's a good thing. Adam's ordering that. So we can get that done, and then we'll get with Nate and get that done after the computers are in, and then we're gonna do a soft, not announced, that we're going that way, and that way we get used to it before we get bombarded. Because I believe most people are gonna go that way. Then that'll all go through the treasurer's office. So. This is a thought. I checked with Scott with HLW, and he checked with, I checked with Todd and he checked with Scott. Some landfills do this, and that's why I pursued this, is the cap has to be mowed once a year. Okay, and some landfills rent that out for hay ground, seed it down and rent it out. I think that's what we should do. The cap and stuff, maybe.
How many acres would we be talking?
I believe if you talk the whole landfill part of it, probably about 40, give or take. I'm not sure. We'd have to do some measuring to be exact, to be correct. Or we just rent the top cap off, because we still have to mow the terraces.
If you turn it to hay ground.
Yep.
Does it have to be worked out prior to seeding it to hay?
I would imagine drag or something, yes.
And that DNR is okay with that?
They're letting other counties do that. That was my specific question with Todd and Scott.
Kind of counter some of the things that we've been
Yeah, but as
used
long
to over the years.
as long as there is cover, it grows grass, so it'll grow hay. And we put in those vents, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, to take care of the gas issues. So there's no dead grass anywhere. The vents are all doing their job and all of that. And I don't know whether you want to go there or not, but it's just a thought, trying to regain some revenue from that, other than there was a stipulation that Todd talked about yesterday is if you go that way, make sure you have a contract with the farmer or whatever, in case for some reason a tire is dug up or a piece of pipe or whatever, because one county had a problem with that. The farmer, it busted his baler, and then he wanted the county to fix it. So.
Well, what about our monitoring wells? And how do we protect them if we have that be hay ground?
Monitoring wells are all on the bottom, they're not on the top.
Right. They gotta get up and down to do their work.
Yep, and there's, well, I shouldn't say
I've got
there's
it.
no wells.
Or
Oh.
if you want.
Okay. The wells, there's one here, down here, right there, and right in here. And then there's one back here. There's 7 of them total, but, we'd have to measure this all out, or just the top, or until it starts giving seed, or, like I said, it's just a way to regain revenue instead of us mowing it all the time, because you're looking at, to mow this whole thing is 65 hours with a 7-foot mower on the tractor.
I think it's a very good idea to explore it, Tim. I think I'd like to see us have a way to protect our monitoring wells, because we all know that, whether they're there or not, shortcuts are shortcuts, and so that would be a primary concern. But the biggest thing would be, I'd like to see something in writing from the DNR that totally authorizes it without stipulation. So
Okay.
if they're willing to give that.
Best practice for establishment, what their procedures are.
The reason it was brought up is this pre-1978 here, the cells had dirt sides and they're sinking away. Okay, so when I mow it, I gotta go this way, because then it gives us a clear view down here to our dump site. And so what I originally wanted to do was knock those ridges, the dirt ridges out there. That we were mowing on a flat surface, and then possibly turn it into hay ground. But then the topic got brought up about these other counties that they're renting out for hay grounds. So that's where it all stemmed from and come from, and it's just a discussion thing, and I'll have to check with the DNR and see if we can 100% without.
Who's the closest county that's allowed to become hay ground?
I can't even tell you, Todd told me that. So I think Wright County was one. And he didn't have the list of them, but he inspects them all, so he knows. But
Well, I don't know what my colleagues think. I'd like to see us explore it.
Yeah.
Makes
Well,
sense to.
it's a source of revenue, you know.
And it's a time saver. I mean, it's.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let the farmer rent it out, they pay for it, they're mowing it, other than we still have to mow the terraces.
Yeah.
And do any spraying on the terraces that we have to do, but we gotta do that anyway. And if we can get the farmer to mow it down, the pre-78, which we mow it when it gets this high anyway, so the farmer's gonna mow that, so we'll still be able to see down below. I'm just following up on the question that was brought up before. What are we gonna do with this if we ever move? This is falling into place, so, if we gotta do a little more research, we'll do that.
Lindsay, he's got about 4 more minutes, so if you
Yep.
can be patient. I don't think we're on time constraints on yours either, so.
I'm getting close. Last time I was in here, we talked about what a grapple bucket would cost for the end loader. It's $30,500. A skid loader with tracks is $25,000 with tires. The tracks, if we're gonna do a lot of mowing on the terraces and stuff, would be better. But for everyday use, why the tires, foam-filled tires would be better down below. So the difference is $25,000 difference in tracks versus tires. So you're looking at a $75,000 machine with forks, grapple, and a mower, which is another $22,000. So you're looking at $98,000.
That's with tracks.
No,
Tires. That's tires.
That's with wheels, tires. And then they would have to be foam filled and with the hydraulic hoses and stuff. But that's, you asked for the numbers. I'm just giving you the numbers there.
The issues you've been having with the wheel loader, is there a
Okay.
long-term fix there? Is it a recurring problem?
It's a mouse problem. Mice got in there in August. They chewed, shorted it out, it all melded together. 2.5 weeks ago, they ended up taking the dash apart, and there was a mouse nest in the dash. Shorted, electrocuted the mouse, and so now it's interior wiring harness. And he just got done putting a new joystick in this morning, So it's supposed to be fixed now. So in August, we spent $4,000 for that, because I had to have it. And I estimate that this last round is gonna be around $12,000. But I gotta have it.
Is there a way to prevent mice?
We'll be putting a whole bunch of stuff in there.
John Deere sells they used to anyway, I think they still do the cinnamon spray of some sort. You're supposed to spray all your wires with, and
I'm not aware of the spray, but I know they're allergic to peppermint.
one of the options. Yeah, maybe it is
But-
peppermint, not.
But I mean, there's been many a times, and it just got brought up yesterday when Doug was out, that, there's been 4 times he's opened up that hood and the coon comes out, so, it happens. Get critters. We're in the middle of nowhere. So.
And does it get kept inside?
No, it's kept outside. Because in the wintertime, sometimes we can't get to it. To get the snow plowed, and so we plug it in up to unless it's,
And that's why the rodents like it, because there's a little bit of heat generated from the engine block probably.
Yep.
Block in from
Yep.
the
Especially the coon.
yep, there's a place to go, they'll get in. But, anyway, back to it. Biggest complaint lately is flat tires. So I think it's a great idea to buy some more magnets. That way we can run up and down the road. We walk around the scale house with magnets and stuff anyway. We just need to do a little more due diligence to try and get those nails up. Which goes right into the report. July, August, September, the last quarter, we did 947,000 tons. The same period last year, we did 477,000. So we gained $469,000 from last year. And that's due to the hailstorm and stuff. So we're running twice what we were a year ago. I only projected in my budget a 10% increase. So I'm going to be 90% short. But just so you know where it's coming from and what to expect. I didn't have that crystal ball. And
But you have some revenue to offset some of it.
oh yeah. But I
Cassandra will
can't.
take care of you. She'll
But I
put the
can't.
request in.
But I can't use my revenue for my. It's just completely different. It just shows my
Correct, but
shortfall.
as long as it's offsetting, it's easier
Yes.
to.
Yes, and that'll all reflect when we get into the budget stuff.
Right.
Because I can bring those reports.
And you're thinking, this is gonna be a long-term increase. You don't see it,
It's gonna be another year.
yeah.
Talking to the contractors, some of them say that they can get some of them buttoned up this year. Some of the contractors are going like, we don't even have to look for work for a year, because that's.
Yeah.
But, in this last quarter, we was just twice what we were a year ago. In May and June, we were 2.5 times what we were a year ago, so. So, I guess with that, any questions?
You're gonna explore the cap
Yes,
and report back to us. You
Yep.
don't need to wait for your next update. If you get some information that we can move
Okay.
forward on,
well, and I think that's,
we'll
need to-
get you on the agenda.
we need to be speedy about that to get the word out if that's what we're gonna do, and
This piece of equipment with the grapple on it, you're looking at potential capital improvement requests for that, or what?
probably. We just don't have a backup, so when things go wrong, we have to count on bringing help in. And when it's their machine, that's why 8 out of the 10 days, which I was on vacation, and the other 2 days, then I ran it. But
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Lindsay?
I have two minor plats to present today. The first one is for Todd and Kristen Keithy. They are purchasing a little bit of land with the pond from Stratman's, and the new property line will follow the existing fence line.
So it looked like a nice kind of line for them.
Yep. No complaints, no concerns from neighbors.
And Stratman, they're selling it, so yeah, that's.
Yep.
I'd move approval.
Second.
Moved by Bob, second by Cory to approve request for minor plat change for Keithy's. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, that motion carries. Wagner?
This survey it went to auction actually, and it's multiple surveys. There's only 2 buyers involved though with all these parcels. Parcel G is the original farmstead, and the intentions with that parcel is to tear down the existing house and rebuild and potentially split off 2 acres and build another house on that. The rest of the land is mostly 100-year floodplain, and it's pretty sandy, low CSR. The plan is to keep it recreational ag.
Yeah, the lines are a little screwy, but no concerns, so they're,
No, because there's only 2 buyers. One neighbor to the west has 1 parcel, then the other buyer has all the other parcels. And the point of having multiple parcels, if they want to put it into a trust or just name the parcels differently, they have that ability.
Move to approve minor plat for Wagner.
second.
Moved by Cory, second by Bob to approve the request. Bob, just for your information, down in that area, I've seen a whole lot screwier
Oh,
lines when it comes to that river bottom. There's been some interesting ones, so. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Chair votes aye, that motion carries.
Did, Ed Lee stop by?
I had a conversation with Darius, so the agenda is now it is posted on the door upstairs in the vestibule.
I know for other committees that I have, if there's interested parties that want to be notified of agendas, we just add them on.
Yeah, and it's not a problem to add anyone, obviously, to the agenda, as long as they're aware space is limited and it's not open to public comment. If we allowed public comment, then we'd be there all night.
And you wouldn't really
So
have a
the
committee.
the intent is just for that committee to have discussion. But it's not meant to, be closed doors to the public. It's
The time for public, like, we're gathering all this information for Erica to compile, bring back recommendations to planning and zoning, and that would be the time for public
correct.
input.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all I got.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.